sometimes teachers are afraid to let kids choose how they're going to learn, what they're going to learn using, because of course, as the teacher, we want the locus of control.
Mhm.
But by providing a range of options, range of opportunities for kids, we have to step back and let them choose. And then from a differentiated instruction lens, there's conferencing. There's checking in as a teacher to facilitate the conversation and the reflection that kids
Mhm.
may need support to do to figure out who they are as a learner and what they need. And one of our colleagues always used to say when we would teach differentiating through choice, when you get to college, or you get to a job after high school, whatever track you end up on, you need to understand yourself enough to know something. So, your first test, if you're at a college level, you need to know, do I need to go to the professor's office hours? Do I need to find a study group? Is that better for me? Or do I need to hide by myself? Those are all learning what you need to be successful. I'm on a job, I just got a task. Do I need to check in with my supervisor or my boss? Is this a team thing that I need to work on with other people, or do I need to go hide somewhere and get this done myself? And building that reflection from the time they're tiny will lead to that kind of future focus and that understanding of themselves.
Right. I
I'm
think we
glad we started
underestimate.
there.
Me too. It's my favorite. I think we underestimate the way it's just a habit of mind that if we actually aren't intentional about it, nobody develops it. Because I know for myself and a lot of the people that we talk to, we were not given the opportunity to reflect in any way, really, on
Yep.
what we needed until we were then in college. And some of us who operated well within the system as it usually functions didn't really have trouble in college. I did. I got to college and didn't know enough to say I do need to go to office hours for organization to break up a long assignment. And this is setting kids up to be able to have this habit of thinking about every single time they're approaching a learning task, what is it that I need?
I love it. So, shall we move to academically prepared? I'm just sort of going around the circle.
Yeah,
So for me, differentiation completely supports academic preparedness in that we are really looking at where each person is and how to bring them to the next step for them. And so in doing so, we're not asking kids to do something that's well beneath them or well above them. We are actually meeting them where they are and providing them with tools and strategies to move themselves along. And so a lot of times teachers will say to us, well, they all have to take the regions at the end. So how could we provide differentiated ways for kids to let us know what they've learned, for example? And what I always like to say to people is that if we don't do that, if we don't tap into who they are and what they need and actually provide them with a differentiated range, are they going to learn the material to begin with that's going to help them get through whatever it is they have to do at the end, whether it be a project-based thing, whether it be an exam. Here in New York, we're slowly looking at the regions moving away, but right now we're still in that. And
mhm.
so providing kids with differentiated, not just options, but materials, ways of responding, ways of letting you know what they learn, ways to engage with materials is going to make them more academically prepared, in my opinion.
I agree. And I think it couples nicely with creative innovator in that um, in order to be able to get past the basic skills and the foundational knowledge to become, rooted in your creativity, rooted in being able to think outside the box, you have to have a pretty deep understanding of how you learn and who you are and a sense of safety in who you are as a learner. Like I am rooted in myself as a learner, and now I can get beyond that to think outside the box. And in a differentiated classroom, a truly differentiated classroom, everybody is valued for what they bring to the table.
Yes.
And that sense of safety and value also boosts the confidence that's needed and boosts the comfort that's needed to take academic risks and to move past just being able to answer the comprehension questions into the higher order thinking.
Absolutely. And I think the other piece of this for me, in my thinking, is that teachers who are demonstrating differentiation and are setting up a differentiated classroom are modeling being a creative innovator for their students. So
100%.
when you see as a kid your teacher pivoting and being flexible and saying, "Okay, this is what's needed here," and this, what a model for you, for the student to take
Hmm.
into their life. So I think that's another huge part of it is just the atmosphere and what kids get out of watching their teachers, which can lead to critical thinking.
Go for it.
Yeah, just because, again, if we go back to the choice component of DI, it
Hmm.
involves complete critical thinking. What do I need? Is this the right thing for me? Is it not the right thing for me? But also, it allows kids to be problem solvers
Hmm.
amongst their peers. You know, we're working in a group, and we already know in this classroom that different people need different things.
Hmm.
So, how do we work together? Which, again, this is going to tie into global citizen and effective
Hmm.
communicator because all these things are so beautifully interwoven. But differentiation, there's the word, can assist kids in developing those higher level thought processes as they interact with their peers and with their own learning.
Hmm. And also questioning things, just being able to see and not take things at face value, looking
I
for the
love that.
evidence, because when we are only in a receiving information in a passive way, when we are only in that mode, we tend to take things more at face value. Whereas when we are in a more dynamic classroom where everyone's doing something a little bit different, people are leaning into their strengths, we are much more likely to have the confidence to question things, have the confidence to say, I'm not just going to take this at face value. I'm going to look for another source. I'm going to try to back up my answer. And it's not just because someone told you to, it's because the environment is creating a situation where you feel comfortable shifting into your own knowledge.
I love it. You keep bringing up the whole concept of differentiation, helping kids feel safe as a learner, and
Hmm.
then being able to take risks as a learner. And I just think I just want to re-highlight that because I think it's so crucial for who we want to graduate at this point. What we want
Hmm.
kids, who we want them to be able to be in the world requires that. And
Yes.
so I love that you keep bringing that up.
Well, it's interesting because I was just doing a little bit of revisiting Zaretta Hammond's culturally responsive teaching and the brain, her book that
Yes,
she wrote in 2015, and talking about, the intellectual safety that is needed in order to do some true learning. And that's been really in the forefront of my mind with all of this is none of this happens without intellectual safety.
correct. And neither does the next one, effective communication. Being an effective communicator, there needs to be intellectual safety. There needs to be safety in the environment. And the more differentiated a classroom is,
Mhm.
the more safe it is for people because they know that they're being met. And so, how does that connect to effective communicator would really be the question. And I feel like, again, maybe just I'm repeating myself over and over again, but the tenets of DI allow kids to really own who they are
Mhm.
and understand who everybody else is, which allows you to communicate in with a wide range of people, with your teacher, with a wide range of peers from that place of confidence and safety and understanding that you're going to be seen, heard, and felt in this environment. And so by providing kids with a differentiated environment, differentiated materials, their ability to talk about those materials and communicate right in writing and speech, however, is going to just increase.
I agree. And also thinking about self-advocacy and
Yes.
how, again, that sense of safety allows them to advocate for what might work better for them. Whereas if everything's done only one way and there's only one right way in their perception, even if it's not the teacher's intention, a lot of times kids receive things as this is the only right way to do it. But in an environment that's differentiated, a student is much more likely to be able to say, you know what, this isn't working for me. And maybe they'll advocate for themselves and say, could I show what I know in this way? And
Hmm.
that, again, it's an empowering environment.
I love it. And again, just from in a personal note, my daughter is transitioning to college and she's already thinking about what she's going to need and who to communicate that to when she gets there and what she needs as a learner. And so it's really exciting to hear her identify
Hmm.
some of the things that she's going to need to advocate for.
It's
Um,
amazing. Bravo.
because she's been given that,
Yep.
so now she can move forward and do that. So
Hmm.
very exciting.
Beautiful.
And so the last one is global citizen, and I don't even know what we need to say other than exactly what we just said, is
Yeah.
that our world is differentiated. We have a range of humans in every environment we walk into. And so if we can honor that in classrooms with differentiation, everybody learns how to be with everybody, which is what
Mhm.
we basically need as global citizens, is to
Yes.
be able to work, live, and play in the diverse world in which we live. And
Yes.
so by doing that in the classroom, we are completely preparing kids to do that in the workplace, in the neighborhoods in which they choose to live and work. Um, I think it's completely synergistic.
I do too. And there's always an irony to me when we hear the sentences like the regions aren't differentiated, the state test isn't differentiated, their workplace isn't going to be differentiated. Just this fear that if we don't hold them to a very strict way of producing work and showing what they know, that they won't be ready for the real world, when in fact, the real world is far more differentiated than many current classrooms. And many of us as adults are able to accommodate our needs in a working environment more easily than we might have been in the classroom. And so we actually, in some ways, are trying now to differentiate the classrooms in a way that could reflect the way the world is differentiated. Of course, not the entire world. We have so many places where we can improve.
Yes.
But yes, I think trying to kind of find the balance between we want to make sure that students have the skills that they need while also acknowledging that, just because one state test is not differentiated doesn't mean that we can't operate as if we all deserve this differentiated environment that meets everyone's needs and celebrates everyone for who they are.